When I was doing my story down in Meramec Caverns, we talked a little bit about Jesse James, but they gave me this book when I left, and I had a chance to dig more into it. And then there's this section called The Return of Jesse James. Now, this is really interesting. I wasn't around in 1950. Apparently, this made big national news. And I find it so interesting. I wanted to let you guys know about it. In early 1949 in Lawton, Oklahoma, a newspaper story appeared stating that a man named J. Frank Dalton, a resident there, was none other than the infamous Jesse James. Basically, he wasn't shot and killed like everybody thought. Apparently, this guy, this is him. This is the guy right here. He was 100 years old. His name was Frank Dalton. He said he was 100 and that Jesse James was not shot by Robert Ford in 1882. He said instead a man by the name of Charles Bigelow was murdered instead and passed off as Jesse James. The shooting of that man was a whole prearranged hoax to enable the real Jesse James to retire from his life as an outlaw. What? Yeah. So here's what's interesting. Apparently over time, a lot of different people said, oh, I'm the real Jesse James. Jesse James didn't die. But those were all proven as hoaxes. Well, this one apparently never was. I mean, there's apparently a lot of people that swore that this guy, Dalton, was the real Jesse James. So here's what's interesting. Okay, here's what I love. There was convincing evidence, including scars and other characteristics that the real Jesse James was said to have, that this guy did have. A mutilated tip of his left-hand index finger, evidence of severe burns on his feet, a bullet hole scar on his left shoulder, a drooping right eyelid, a bullet scar along his hairline, and the scar of a bullet hole in his abdomen. I mean, that sounds pretty convincing to me. So here's where it gets interesting. If you saw my story on Meramec Caverns, you know that the founder was Lester Dill. And Lester Dill then ended up petitioning the Circuit Court of Franklin County, Missouri, to have this Dalton's guy's name changed back to Jesse James. So check this out. So this is J. Frank Dalton being taken to court in Franklin County to have his name changed back to Jesse James. They petitioned the court. Ultimately, the case was dismissed. Less than 18 months later, Dalton passed away. The court never settled the matter. I don't know. I find it pretty fascinating. It seems like it could be true. I should mention that this is in the MC Legend and History Meramec Caverns book, if you're curious.